Hello and welcome back to the Chattercade podcast, where I discuss media in the forms of reviews and discussions. I'm your host, Dranking Thomas Hughes, and today I'm covering some, obviously, not just one, but two things. Obviously, that I've recently finished within. One of them I literally finished the other day, and one of them, obviously, I finished at the back end of January, and that is the Assassin's Creed 4 and Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry games. Obviously, so far, obviously, review-wise, I've covered, obviously, all of them that I've done in terms of gameplay. The only one I haven't covered is Mirage. I'll do that maybe somewhere down the line when I've sat down and replayed Mirage. But as I say, at the moment, I'll do it as I go along. And I was debating to hold off this video until I'd finished Rogue and just done Black Flag, Freedom Cry, and Rogue as one big podcast. But I thought, you know what, fuck it. I've got a slot open in February for an episode, so I'm just going to go for it and do the Black Flag Freedom Cry talk right now. And as I stated on the recent Freedom Cry video, if you've been following the Freedom Cry gameplay I've done, if you haven't, I'll say it again here. Obviously, I'm going to be treating Freedom Cry as a DLC, not as an actual game. Though I played it as the standalone game version of it, it's still technically DLC. I was debating, do I count it as DLC, do I count it as a main game? And I did a lot of Googling, and obviously, it basically is just like, no, it's still just DLC. It's just they gave the expansion a standalone release just so you can basically play. It's similar to Assassin's Creed Valhalla with the Ragnarok expansion. It's a completely whole new game with so much of the base game in there, but it's still just DLC. So I'm going to treat Freedom Cry as DLC. But as I say, I'm going to get straight into the first part of the talk, and that is going to be on Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, a game that I started. When did I start it last year? I started playing it. I want to say like October. Was it October time? Was it before October? I put like 40 odd. I made 40 odd episodes of the game. Let's have a look on my YouTube real quick here. So we're going to playlists. So my first Black Flag video came out in September actually, and I think I may have started in there because obviously I usually, especially when I took a break in between games with Assassin's Creed, which I've pretty much been doing, this one and Freedom Cry is the only ones I haven't really, because I'll kind of jump straight into them, and that's what I'm doing with Rogue as well. But if I remember correctly, obviously it might be at the start of September I started playing it, and let's say it pretty much lasted all the way up until the end of January, near enough, with the only time of a break being the two just over Christmas and the start of January, because obviously I did the Suicide Squad stuff, so that kind of delayed the game a bit more. So obviously I played it all the way up until mid-December, and then put the end of January wrapping up the game. So obviously Black Flag for me is easily my favourite Assassin's Creed game. It's one of those ones that no matter how many times I go back to the game, I'm still falling in love with it. I'm still finding stuff I've not seen before. I'm still doing stuff I haven't really done in the game. I just absolutely love it. I've enjoyed it since I first played it. It's one of the ones that stood out for me the most. Obviously, going back through these games now, obviously, yes, I've enjoyed Brotherhood. Yes, I've enjoyed Assassin's Creed 2. Obviously, growing up, I did enjoy Assassin's Creed 3 very heavily. And recently, I have enjoyed Valhalla. But for me, Black Flag is just the one that stands out the most. For me, it's got probably my favourite stories. It's probably got my favourite voice actors in the lead role. Matt Ryan voicing Edward Kenway is just amazing to listen to. I'm going to be biased because I absolutely love him as Constantine in the DC CW universe and the animated movie universe that he was part of for a while. Absolutely love him, and that's going to be a bit biased there. But it's always one of those things where obviously I heard his voice here before I actually saw him as Constantine, so you can kind of take away some of the biasness a little bit, but still, it's one of those games I just fell in love with straight away. I remember buying like a limited edition version of the game. It was like in a massive like steelbook case. It wasn't like a regular. I haven't got a steelbook lying around. They're all in a different room at the moment, but it's not just like a regular case. It was like a more thicker steelbook case. It had like a soundtrack in there, some art cards. I don't think there's a map in there, but obviously had the base game. I think it had something else in there. It was like a collectible thing. It was like, at the time, I think it was only like I want to say like £50, if that, which just shows the difference in game prices these days compared to when that game came out in 2013. So I remember buying that just because at the time, obviously, I was getting very heavily into Assassin's Creed thanks to obviously playing for the old ones, specifically 1 and 2. Obviously, as I've always said before, Brotherhood and Revelations, I never fucking fully finished back in the day. But obviously, 1 and 2 drew me in. And obviously, when I was playing 3, not at launch, but not long after launch, obviously, I got really heavily into the franchise. So when they announced Black Flag and I saw, pirate theme, that seems pretty cool. I saw the gameplay. Obviously, I went straight out and brought this special edition version of the game and absolutely fell in love with it. It's got some of my favourite gameplay mechanics of Assassin's Creed. Obviously, it takes a lot from the previous ones and evolves it. Obviously, in Assassin's Creed 3, we got introduced to naval combat very slightly. It wasn't like a massive amount of naval combat, but we got a bit of naval combat. So this one, being a pirate game, requires a lot more of that. So they've took time and improved on what they gave us in that. Yeah, it's very similar, but they've definitely improved on a lot of the aspects of it. I mean, for starters, the water in this game visually is stunning. For a game that came out in 2013, they nailed the water, which I think I stated many times while playing it. The one thing they had to get right was that. If they didn't, it would have looked odd. It would have looked a mess. Kind of a game that's set entirely on the ocean. Well, most of the time on the ocean, and not make the water look fucking astounding. And to me, they got it spot on. I can't fault Ubisoft for that one. That is perfect. So yeah, obviously all the naval stuff is really fun to do. Upgrading your ship to the max, pretty cool. Especially when you get like mortars and that, you can start fucking firing ships long distance range. Is really cool. There's a lot of missions that you require your ship to be upgraded, so you're always constantly trying to find a way to, collect the wood, collect the metal, collect the money just to be able to upgrade. I never upgraded my ship to the max on any of my playthroughs this game, but I always got to a point where I could still handle myself in combat, which I proved many times while playing the game recently. So as I say, I absolutely love that. It does take a while sometimes when you're just sailing around. Sometimes you can sit there and going, when you're playing it. So I didn't use it when I was playing it on recording, but when obviously I used to play it, obviously you just whack the sea shanties on, just fucking blast them away, and they kind of just take you away. But when you start unlocking a lot more of the fast travels, you fucking fly through a lot quicker, and you really need the ship then when it's actually a mission, which is fine. Obviously, then go look at the actual normal gameplay side of it. Obviously, this one, as I say, very similar. There's a lot of very similar mechanics to all the other games. Obviously, this time round with Edward, obviously, since he's a pirate, there's a lot more emphasis on guns. Obviously, Connor, to an extent, usually like one gun, if I remember correctly. It's been a fucking while. It's been about a year. Not a year, but like fucking like a lot longer since I played Assassin's Creed 3. Obviously, you usually carry like one gun. Obviously, Ezio was the wrist holster gun. But obviously, being a pirate, you're like, okay, pirates carry the guns. And one thing I love about this is that as you upgrade Edward, obviously you can just get like, I think it's like 6 in the end. So you're just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like in terms of shots, and it's really fun, especially when you got loads of enemies around. You can just keep blasting away. In the words of Frank Reynolds in Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Anyway, I just started blasting. That's basically all I ever fucking did. I was on top of that as well. In terms of, obviously, weapons, you also got your cutlasses, since, again, pirates, a lot of swords are more cutlass-based. But yeah, there's not really much weapons added to this game. Obviously, yes, weapons are slightly different because of them being a different era. But there's not really, I wouldn't really say there's like a massive amount of new gear added off the top of my head. Because a lot of the gear we're getting is pretty much what we've already had. I mean, the sleep darts, we've already had them. So the pistols, we've already had them to an extent. Swords, we've just had a different rendition of them. So anything with this, it does take away from the last one. So if you look at like Assassin's Creed 3 and Liberation, obviously Assassin's Creed 3 had the Tomahawk, Liberation had like a machete type weapon, I think it was. Obviously this takes them out because you don't need any of them. Obviously the main weapons you go around with obviously is your swords and your guns. So obviously it treats it very much like, well, you still are a pirate, which is true because you're not an assassin really. you're wearing assassin's gear. I mean, the only reason you're wearing assassin's gear is because you took down an assassin early in the game to get said gear, and then you kind of trying to earn the right to wear it, but at the same time you're kind of not giving a shit. It's not really till late in the game when your friends start dying around you and the Templars start causing more problems, when you start realizing from the get-go you've been on the wrong side of this war from day one, which is fine because that's good character development for Edward, because his whole motive early on is making money, which is the whole part of the flashbacks you get with him when it's like, okay, I'm going to sea to make money for my family. So it makes sense that throughout the game a lot of his intentions would be based on money. But obviously, I say later in the game, he starts realizing that kind of his friendship and basically just doing a good deed is more important than plundering. So I do love his character development for this. It's as I say, it makes him one of my favorite assassins, if not my favorite assassin. I don't think you can see it. Just if you're watching on YouTube, you might be able to just see it above my head, around there. You can't see it fully though. Obviously, I've got the hidden blade from Black Flag. I've only actually got 3 hidden blades around. I've got the movie one, because I got it quite cheap. I've got the Black Flag one, and I've got the Valhalla one, mainly because the Valhalla one's pretty cool with the fur on it. But as soon as I was able to get the Black Flag one, I jumped on it. I think that's the third one I brought, because I had the Valhalla and the Assassin's Creed movie one before I had the Black Flag one. But as soon as I saw that one available to buy, I fucking jumped straight on it and brought it. Because it's just so fucking cool. So yeah, I'd say I love the story in this. Obviously, this is a continuation in the outside world from the ending of Assassin's Creed 3. Obviously, with Assassin's Creed 3, spoiler alert, obviously Desmond died to save the world. This one picks up where that kind of left off. It introduces a new character, don't know his name. His whole thing is he's a game tester. So he's working at Abstergo Industries, and he's basically just testing out this game, which is basically Black Flag. And while he's testing it, there's obviously a lot of stuff going on. There's like some hacker that's helping him and basically using him. That's linking them back to characters from the previous games, Outside Animus story. And obviously he's then going computer by computer, learning more information, obviously learning about Desmond, learning more about the assassins, learning more about Abstergo. But obviously there's a lot more going on in the outside world, and as you go through the game and get more story on the outside world, there's obviously the big reveals in regards to obviously the hacker, who he truly is, how he obviously links not just to the outside Animus story, but actually to the inside of the Animus story. Obviously, if you haven't played the game or anything, I'll try and keep it a bit vague. I won't fully go spoilery here. Obviously, you can just watch my gameplay and you can see the spoilers there, or just play the game yourself, because I recommend it. It's usually on sale every now and again, so I recommend picking up and do play it, because it's generally one of the best Assassin's Creed games. But yeah, so it's outside the Animus story is really interesting. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than with the Desmond one. Desmond one, a lot of times it's mainly just you doing parkour and unlocking stuff, whereas this one, obviously, it's more of a hacking situation. You get to have fun on the computers, just hack away and get some information. I mean, I think pretty certain at one point I just sat there and just listened to like this entire fucking story that I hacked from my computer. I just sat there and just listened to it. I was just like, fuck it, I want to see what's going on here. So I think it was regarding Desmond. There's a lot of like Desmond tapes you can unlock, which is pretty cool. And obviously, the outside of the Animus story actually then does link straight to another Ubisoft game, Watch Dogs, because obviously the character who's basically the top dog at this Abstergo Industries, well, simple put, he appears in Watch Dogs. In this, he disappears at one point because he goes off to Chicago, never comes back. Because obviously, spoiler alert again, if you play Watch Dogs, you know you kill a character in a car accident. That obviously is his character, which I like. I like that connection for Ubisoft, because obviously Watch Dogs, they're very similar to the Creed. It makes sense, obviously, being linked. I mean, heck, there's a DLC Legion that actually fully goes Assassin's Creed, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so this game for me, it just does everything right. And then obviously talking about this story in the Animus, it obviously there's a lot going on. I said with the character development from Edward, obviously the get-go when he's basically just your basic bitch buccaneer. So obviously, as he goes along, he starts becoming more of a pirate. Meets the bad guys, then meets obviously a bunch of people that he will call friend, call crew. Obviously, Blackbeard, the big one easily. And there's just a bunch of them. And as the story goes along, as they're slowly being stripped away from this story, his character developing to the point of the assassins. Obviously, early on, he's not with the assassins, but obviously, as the story goes along, he starts learning more about them, more about what they're up to, more about their creed. To the point, obviously, needing help. And yeah, see, another thing I like about this game, I say, apart from this great story, apart from the really good gameplay, apart from the pirate stuff, obviously there's a lot more exploration in this game, because if you look at the other games, most of the exploration is condensed to just the map, in terms of you're on one island or something like that. You're in one big massive city or one continent, and you kind of just go into these certain little places. The maps are pretty decent size, but obviously this one goes a lot bigger of its map, because it allows you to go to different islands to explore, find chests, find secrets, find different animals. Obviously you get a lot more different animals in this game that you can hunt and get, obviously, stuff from. They even introduced whaling, obviously harpooning into this game, where you can obviously harpoon sharks, whales, and stuff like that. And obviously in the process you get bones and skin. Obviously the skin can be used to craft upgrades for Edward, craft certain outfits if you're lucky enough to get the certain ones required, like the shark hunter outfit, the feline outfit, the whale hunter outfit. So there's definitely a lot more added to this game with gameplay. Obviously, specifically hunting is where a big one stuff's been added, and then I say the ocean stuff. There's a lot more upgrades there, in terms of, obviously, you got the dive bell missions where you can just dive below the ocean and track down different chests below the water. Of course, there's a lot more to it than that. There's sharks, there's jellyfish, there's eels, goddamn fucking eels, that'll go after you and basically do damage to you. But the jellyfish don't go after you, they just stay there, and if you might just actually catch one and go, oh, stung. Whereas the eels, they don't really go after you unless you go over them. It's the sharks, you have to more duck and dodge more than anything. So there's a lot more added to that side of the game. Other than that, there's not really much difference in terms of what they've added gameplay-wise in combat and all that. Most of the combat is pretty much the same. It's just mainly there's a lot more exploration they've added. Let's say with the island options, so underwater stuff they're added, and as I say, the obviously hunting options there's a lot more than just deer, bear, and wolves and rabbits, I think it was, in the last one. So there's a few more things added, but they have taken stuff away. As I say, there's no bears, you can't hunt bears in this one, you can't hunt wolves, but obviously they replaced that with more exotic animals, like your jaguars, your alligators, alligators. Big up point. So they add more stuff like that, so that's where they do a bit more different than the previous entry, rather than changing, obviously, a lot of other stuff. They just take some stuff from free and just add more to it, which is fine. I have no problem with that. It's just, as I say, it's just one of those games that I always just love going back to. Always have fun playing the game. I was so ecstatic when I finally got to the point of I finished Liberation. I was like, yes, I know what's next. Black Flag, cannot wait. And as I say, sitting back through it recently, I gotta say, I still love it as much as I did back then. It's still easily my favourite of the Assassin's Creed games. I'm trying to think what else I want to say, really. I love the idea that you can just upgrade your ship, as well as Edward. I like that. It makes sense. As a pirate, you'd be able to upgrade the ship, change the appearance, add more cannons, add more dangerous cannons in terms of mortars. I do like that, because you didn't really... I don't remember getting to upgrade too much in Assassin's Creed 3, because I say it was more... The naval stuff wasn't a massive part of the game. It was just a certain portion of the game where you had to deal with a little bit of naval stuff, but it wasn't like a massive deal, whereas this one, it is. As I say, there's a lot more enemies at sea, there's a lot more higher level ships to deal with, as I say, like man of wars and stuff like that, which makes sense, again, for a pirate game to have that. But yeah, I say Edward is my favourite assassin. Though I love Ezio and I do like Eivor, it's got to be Edward all the way, man. He's just so good of an assassin. Though, as I say, he's not even an assassin till technically after this game. The whole point in this game is he's not an assassin. It's not till afterwards he becomes the legendary master assassin, Edward Kenway. But still, I say, great story, both in and out of Animus. Great music. The music is so good. The fact you can have sea shanties is amazing. If you go on the actual, look for an actual album, there's just, you get the actual soundtrack for the game album, and you got the sea shanty album, which is so fucking cool. The side characters are really interesting. And it's a really cool dive into, the Bahamas and the pirate side of basically time. And so it's really cool seeing Blackbeard being best friends with Blackbeard and stuff like that. So that's really cool. So yeah, it's a great story, great characters, great music, great combat again, improved and expanded oceanic stuff, i.e., say ships, the dive bells, the fact that you can explore more than just one place, one sort of continent. You can literally just go around to these different islands. It's pretty cool. It's much better than just exploring one city. Yeah, that's fine for a more condensed game, but it is pretty cool every now and again to have this more massive map. Though I do like, obviously after this we do get more condensed again. It's not really, I say, till Odyssey and Valhalla that they sort of give us a bit more of a bigger maps. I do like it. Obviously, I don't mind the condensed maps, but every now and again I also don't mind having this bigger map to explore, because it gives you more time in the game. It gives you more. Hold on. Did I get it? Come on, I've got it that time. Sorry, there's a spider. Just slow. It was. I think I got it. I can't see it on my hand. If I start screaming, you know why. No, I think I got it. I can't see it. It was kind of like in my peripheral vision. It was kind of slowly going up. So I was like, I'm gonna fucking get that. But I don't see it on my hand, so I think it's dead. I hope it's fucking dead. But still, yeah, I say, it's just a really cool game. Obviously, it does offer a little bit of DLC, just like Assassin's Creed 3 did, which I'll get to in a second. So, if I was to give Black Flag a rating, it's got to be 10 out of 10. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag has to be a 10 out of 10. It's just so good. It's easily, as I say, my favourite Assassin's Creed game to date. So yeah, and obviously then, as I say, we move on then to our DLC, Assassin's Creed 4 Freedom Cry. Obviously, a game that originally released as DLC, part of the Season Pass for Black Flag, eventually released as an actual standalone game, which is how I brought it. You can actually buy it just straight out as a standalone game. You actually have to buy Black Flag to play it, which is pretty cool. I like that, because it technically was cheaper for me just to buy the standalone game than it was to actually buy the Season Pass recently for this game. So I don't mind it being a standalone. It made it cheaper for me. But obviously, this focuses more on Adewale, who is, of course, the quartermaster in Black Flag for most of the game, up until the end, when he obviously steps away. This obviously takes place 13 years after Black Flag, and unlike Black Flag, it actually focuses on Adewale being an assassin. And from the get-go, it's actually a pretty good game. It's like Liberation for me. It's a good, smaller game than what it's spinning off from. Because obviously Liberation spinning off from Assassin's Creed 3. This one's spinning off, obviously, from Black Flag. Because it kind of takes that Liberation stuff, but at the same time, it also takes the idea of the DLC we had for Assassin's Creed 3. So it's got that smaller scale of, obviously, of a game, obviously, like that DLC for free. But then it's got the new character to follow, new expansion on the actual proper story, like Liberation. And obviously what's cool with this is obviously it focuses heavily on a big portion of Adewale's character in terms of the slavery portion of it, because a lot of the game for upgrades requires you to basically free slaves. The more you free, the more stuff you unlock, the more stuff you get for free, basically. And obviously, I think it's 400 is the max you can get. Obviously, 400 is the max that you need to unlock everything for free. And then obviously you got the maroon side, which is the rebel side of it, and that one's not as many for freedom. But obviously, not only just in obviously getting stuff for free. Obviously, a lot of the story itself delves heavily into slavery. And there's a whole mission where Adewale has to literally dress up as a slave to blend in on in a little mansion area just so we can get some information. And obviously, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Obviously, we're getting a game where obviously a lot of the talk is a really dark part of history, which, as I say, if you're using the character of Adewale, it makes sense that a lot of the story would focus on that, focus on him trying to free others that were in the same position he was in, because obviously he's a former slave that was obviously freed by Edward Kenway. So it makes sense that a lot of this story would then focus on him trying to free others that are in a similar position to what he was in. And obviously this one, I'd say, offers a pretty good story. It's short. I mean, it took me just under 5 hours, according to my Steam page, to actually finish this game. I got to 90% in the end. Obviously, I finished it just a couple of days ago. And obviously, I got to 90% in the end if you didn't see any of my videos. And I was still debating if the 10% is just from getting all the synchronizations in terms of the extra little optional missions you can get, because I missed a fucking ton of them. So I got a feeling it might have been to them. If not, it's upgrading the ship, but I can't see that just being 10%. Or it might be, because I've got quite a few upgrades to get for the ship, so it might be. But still, I say it took me less than 5 hours to finish this, which for DLC it's fine. I have no problem with that, especially for the fact that it says DLC from 2013. So obviously compared to a lot of DLCs now, when you get a bit more length in the game, like I say with Valhalla, there was a lot of time with their expansions. Same with Odyssey. There's a lot more meat on those bones, whereas this, it's just you just get a very small condensed section of a Black Flag style map, and you can travel around the boat, but all you can really do on the islands is just collect one chest on a beach, and that's it. The island's unlocked. So I wish there was a bit more exploration with the islands. I wish you could actually go into the islands and collect some stuff. Not just literally park up, jump in the water, go on the beach, there you go, done, back on the boat, carry on. I wish there was a bit more to it than that. But I say it's DLC, you can't really expect a massive amount. To say, especially not from 2013 DLC. A lot of this is more focused heavily on its story and continuing Adewale's journey before we actually get him in Rogue. Because obviously he does make a return in that game. So this is more just giving us a little continuation to show what he did post, obviously, Black Flag. Because obviously he does make a lot of reference to Black Flag. I mean, you can technically find the Jackdaw. It is the one and only dive bell mission. I missed the sign that said Jackdaw because I was too fucking swimming as quick as I could to get away from those bastard sharks. Because there's just one shark, and it ruined the chance of me seeing the sign that says the Jackdaw, which is annoying. But other than that, there are things you can really do on the ocean apart from just going to a couple of islands, getting some ship, getting one chest or one secret. Obviously, there's slave ships around that you can just try and help liberate, and then on top of that, there's a couple of islands where you got the plantations you can go liberate. Other than that, there's not much to the exploration side of Freedom Cry compared to Black Flag, which I say it's because it's just literally like, if you look at the Black Flag map, it's literally like one little section in the corner, essentially, is the equivalent of the Freedom Cry map, which, you know, I'm okay with, but I just wish that the islands had a bit more to them. Like, I don't give a shit that the map is such a small proportion to the base game. I would have just liked a bit more to each island. Just give me something more to do than just jump off and get one chest and jump back on my ship and done. I wish there's a bit more to it than that. That's my main complaint, I'd say. As I do like playing as Adewale. Obviously, he has a lot more different weaponry to Kenway. So obviously, one big difference is he carries a machete, which is pretty cool. And obviously, you can find machetes around the map. They're the secrets, and eventually you can find like a Mayan machete, which is like the strongest machete in the game, which is pretty cool. Instead of pistols, obviously he carries a blunderbuss, which is really good for if you got like a fucking army of people running, bang, all dead. Fucking love that. I mean, I fucking yeeted one guy, a single blunderbuss shot, and he kind of just whoop, straight in the air and landed somewhere in the water. That was pretty cool to watch. Obviously, he has the rope dart, which did Edward have? I think Edward had the rope dart as well. I know Connor and I think Aveline had it. My mind's saying Edward did as well. Well, then obviously firecrackers is another thing he gets as a weapon. Obviously, well, as a distraction method. And other than that, he's very similar in terms of arsenal. He just slightly changed compared to Edward, as say, instead of like multiple pistols, just one big fucking shotgun basically, which is, you know, it's pretty cool because, I say, offers a different playstyle. Instead of like being able to bang, bang, bang multiple shots, you get the multiple shots with just with one big shot, which I'm fine with it because it's blunderbuss is pretty cool, especially when you get the like ones that are more spreadable essentially. Because obviously there's some that are more like sniper rifles because they're more range than the spread. But then you got ones that are less range and more about just spreading the bullets around as far as you can. They're pretty cool. I mean, the range ones are pretty cool because you get more fucking distance for your shot. So I say his arsenal's pretty good. It's what did I say? So Edward, I can't. If I'm gonna be honest, I do kind of prefer the machete to the cutlass, especially the mine machete. That was pretty cool. But I do prefer the blunderbuss to the pistols because they say you can get multiple pistols. And it was just fun just popping off more people. But at the same time, it's fun just blunderbussing someone. So I don't know which I prefer Arsenal-wise, because both offered really cool weapons of choices. But still, it's pretty much similar gameplay to Black Flag, which is going to be it's just the DLC expansion to it. So it's always going to be the exact same gameplay mechanics to the base game. Again, as I said, all this is here for mainly is that story. I say it's not a massive story, but to be fair, a couple of the missions, I don't know if all of them do, because I kind of got to the point of where I was 100% on rescuing people anyway, so maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I know early on, some of the missions you can't actually do until you've actually free. I think one of them was like freed so many Maroons, I think it was, then you unlocked it. Another one was like you had to let you go and liberate, I think it was the Wellington plantation, and then you unlocked the actual mission. So at least it doesn't just go mission to mission. At least it gives you something more to do, not just to obviously just give you more time in the game, but also allow you to upgrade Adewale a bit more, get a bit more, obviously find a few more secrets and find a few more core weapons. So it just give you a bit more in between missions, which is pretty cool. Obviously this one doesn't offer as many side characters as Black Flag, and obviously the side characters in this aren't as good as actually, you know, your Blackbeards and your Rackhams in the base game, but they're okay. I said the main draw here is Adewale and his quest to essentially try to end slavery by just taking anyone down, by basically killing everyone along the way who, you know, that is linked to slavery. That can obviously kill them, and you know this place is free. But obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, because as characters point out to him, you kill this person, another one's just going to take their place, and you're at the same position again, and they're probably going to kill a bunch of these slaves. And he's very conflicted in the sense of he cares but doesn't care, which is pretty cool. It's a different, it's a quite interesting spin on his character. But yeah, so the story's pretty cool. It's a cool short story. It's got good gameplay, again, because it's Black Flag gameplay. Just wish there was a bit more of the exploration side of the game. I will say there's one mission that I absolutely loved, which basically you obviously are trying to save a slave ship. It's going down, and you have to go and rescue the people below the decks, and it's obviously all flooding. You have to break in the chains to get them out. Then the ship actually starts capsizing. You have to swim your way out, and it's pretty cool, especially when obviously you see the aftermath and you see obviously the people that did make, and you're like, oh, this is really dark. And I mean, to be fair, a game that's based on slavery, of course, is going to be fucking dark. But that mission for me was definitely like a standout mission. Most Assassin's Creed games have at least one mission that stands out for me, and that's that one. I wish there was a bit more on the final mission, I will add. It was very brief. Once I got to basically the mansion. I literally took the guy down within 5 seconds. I know it came up, and that was it. The 5 seconds, and that was it. I know it came up with the options of like, kill. It was like 5 guys with blunderbuss and use a poker to kill the actual guy. But I kind of misinterpreted the poker part of it. I thought it meant to kill the guy with the poker. So obviously, yeah, you maybe could have dragged it out a little bit and fought some of the guards because there was quite a few guards. But at the same time, obviously, I just kind of run and jump this guy. I thought I missed him. If you watch my gameplay, I thought I missed him. Because the red dot was still behind me. I was like, shit. But to be fair, if I did, I could have actually done the synchronization points. But annoyingly, I actually did get him and completed within seconds. So it's kind of a quick final battle, which, you know, it kind of sums up the fact this is a shorter game than Black Flag, which I say it's DLC, it's going to be. So, but yeah, I say overall, the music's good again. It's got good music. Gameplay is still the exact same as Black Flag, so it's good. Good character in the form of Adewale. Decent short story. Touches on subjects in history that are pretty dark, and it's good to learn about. Trying to think what else. Can't think of anything else. I say I just wish there was a bit more to the exploration on the different islands rather than just the island. And that's it. Same with it's like the. Which one? The forts. You can get to the forts that are destroyed, but you can only just go to the outside the fort, and that's it. Maybe on the beach, which is kind of a bit shitty. I wish there was a bit more you could do there than just that. But I say, other than that, it's still a pretty entertaining game. I'd put it up there with like Liberation. I'd say it's a fun game. I wouldn't say as good as the DLC for Assassin's Creed 3, but I think that's because that kind of took like a very unique spin on the game with all the animal abilities. I thought that was pretty unique. It just took a different spin on the Washington side of that story. So I wouldn't say it's as good as that, but I definitely put it in line with Liberation in terms of it's a shorter game with a decent story. It's not groundbreaking, but it's pretty entertaining, and it just like both those games deal with dark sides of history, particularly like slavery and basically slave labor and shit like that. So I like that they're able to touch on those sort of subjects. But for Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I say it's entertaining. I just wish there was a bit more to the exploration. If I was able to explore the islands a bit more, I might up it to that 8. But because I can't, then I'm not going to. I kind of also wish maybe there was like another Dive Bell mission or two. Like, because there's enough map to say, put a Dive Bell there, Dive Bell there, Dive Bell there, but that's just little tweaks that I would have made to make this game. It's DLC, sorry, even better. But as I say, for a DLC that came in 2013, that gave me about 5 hours of content. It's not too shabby. It's pretty entertaining. And yeah, obviously, if you played Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag or played the DLC / standalone game Freedom Cry, put your thoughts in the comments below on what you thought of those games / DLC. Obviously, if you haven't checked out my playthroughs of either of those, go check out them. Obviously, I'll put the playlist in the link below. You can also check out all my other Assassin's Creed content here if you haven't already. And don't forget, I did also do a podcast covering the Assassin's Creed 3 Remaster Collection and also the Assassin's Creed 1 / the Ezio Collection. So you can check all them out. Or did I do one separately? I think I did it as one big one. You can check all them out as well. All the links will be in the description below. Obviously, don't forget to check out my Assassin's Creed Rogue Collection, which is coming soon. That's kicking off the start of March. Because obviously I got 2 slots available for Rogue episodes in February, but I thought, you know what, I'll just start fresh in March. It's not like a massive break, but I can start fresh at the start of March, which is fine. And once I finish that, I will jump into a podcast talking about that game. And we'll see how long I can drag that one out for. So, yeah, obviously you can check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, etc., etc. Also, don't forget to check out my recent podcast on the, obviously, rest of the Sonyverse, so the Venom trilogy and the Morbius movie. And I believe I'm hoping to do the Monster Hunter movie podcast next week. Don't hold me to that one just yet, because obviously Monster Hunter Wild comes out pretty much around the same time, so I kind of want to cover the movie and talk about that. I'm going to try to get Connor on, but again, as I don't quote me on that, it's not nailed in. like when I obviously nailed in the Venom movies, that was nailed in. This one, 50-50, we'll see. So yeah, obviously until then, I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
If you like what you've seen, don't be afraid to throw us a little like and subscribe. That's always very appreciated over here. And well, I'll see you on the next video.